Welcome back to another episode of the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner, and today I have my friend Chase Matheson from the Patriot Punk Network to discuss a little, let's say, an event going on down in Putnam County where he is being harassed by the local sheriff's department. And I wanted to have him on the show to give him a chance to tell his side of the story and to give some details about what's going on with that. And if you happen to live in the Putnam County area and you see this video, be sure to share it with your friends and neighbors. I think there's a lot of people that could use this information. Well, I'd like to introduce our guest for the evening, Mr. Chase Matheson. How you doing, man?
I am making the best of it. How about yourself, Daniel?
Absolutely, doing just fine. So let's get started, and maybe I'm thinking we take a 60,000-foot view of this entire thing and just kind of give a brief overview about what we're about to talk about. So that way people who are completely unfamiliar with this get a little sense of what they're about to get into.
Long story short, it appears anyone who questions the Putnam County Sheriff's Office is the subject of intimidation and harassment. There's so much of this going on, and even, I don't want to say prominent people, but well-respected members of the community have been victims of this. I don't think anyone's looking into it, at least no one has responded to any of the victims to let them know they're looking into it. So I think it's time the public starts asking some questions. And I want to go over, just in my little corner, since I've started looking into this, I've had now, as of today, 13 people reach out to me saying that they've got
13?
Issues going on. I had somebody else reach out to me just today. Haven't had time to really dig into it because I've been busy, but it's almost like every day somebody else is coming forward with a story.
Well, fantastic.
That matches my personal experience.
So you sent me a number of different screenshots that we're going to go over to give some visual content about what we're talking about. And yeah, go ahead.
What I'd like to do is kind of go through the screenshots and just tell the story and how the screenshots are related. This is by no means everything that exists out there. It's just enough so that you can see similar patterns and just how much of it is going on and how obvious it is.
I mean, the whole point is to show that you come with receipts. This
is my documentation that it's happening and that it should be addressed. I think there's enough here that anybody who looks into this would agree that something should be done.
Excellent. So let's get into it. I'm going to bring up the first shot here. And what are we looking at here? Explain it to the people as if they're only listening.
All right.
As best you can.
So we are looking at right here a ban list. I do not live in Putnam County. I travel all across the state and do investigative journalism reporting on corruption.
Now, I do remember there was something you told me a while back, which whenever I hear you about you doing these things, you told me I don't shit in my own backyard.
I usually don't shit in my own backyard.
Probably a safe, safe way to conduct business. It's
one of the things that after you see what's happened in Putnam County, you'll understand why it's a pretty good policy for the most part.
Excellent.
So we're looking at a ban list right now. It says the lobby no entry ban list. CID has advised no lobby entry updated per 302. And 302 is badge number 302.
This ban list comes from where?
This comes from the lobby of the Putnam County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, and I haven't spoken with every person on this list, but over a majority of them, none of them were aware. No court orders were issued. No one had created a disturbance in the sheriff's department or had made threats and was banned lawfully.
So if that's the case, how did you come across this ban list?
So I actually found out that the Putnam County Sheriff was deleting comments on Facebook. That's one of when people don't know where to go, they go to the comments hoping somebody will help them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah.
Just, say, hey, we got an issue.
So I started looking into it, and almost immediately, the same time I found out that was happening, I noticed people were referencing a ban list. Someone sent me a message with a copy of it. And it was wow, he's not only banning them from the public forums of the Facebook page, but also from the public buildings in real life. Generally, when people ban you and don't want you to see anything, we've all watched the First Amendment auditors. It sends up red flags. Well, throughout the past little bit, I've been investigating and trying to find out what happened. I wrote an article right after I discovered this, about a week after I discovered that the comments were being deleted, raising ethical concerns. Go to the next slide.
Okay. Let's see what we got here.
This was the cover photo for the article that I wrote.
And what are we looking at here?
We're looking at a picture that I took off of the internet of Sheriff Farris speaking to a table of people. And there's a little bubble in there that says, if you block them, they can't expose you. It's obvious political satire, but it got the message across about what was going on. And I think it's important to note the people on that list and the comments that were being deleted, they weren't like on a post where they pulled somebody over for marijuana. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've all seen those go out. These were posts about a young man dying and a body being recovered. The family members of that young man are on that list. An ex-law enforcement officer is on that list who is helping that family. And the circumstances are peculiar. Right. So I wrote this article, and within, I want to say less than 48 hours, might have been right at 36, right in there, I began having comments pop up on my page from a fake profile. Well, I'm assuming it's a fake profile because it was like 2 days old, and it has a picture of a car.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to the next slide, that is the fake profile. It has like no info on it. JT Hill. It's got the profile picture has a picture of like a nice old car, and it says "The Judge" on there. Well, they started posting.
Do you think that was chosen on purpose?
It makes you wonder, especially when you get to the end of this. So, this fake profile came to my account and started like trying to talk about an old bankruptcy I had in 2018 after my business that I ran. I got hit by a drunk driver, and it was pennies, but I was basically, upside down and everything. So I filed for bankruptcy protection. They brought this up. They tried to bring up just a few other like minor things like that. I'd been arrested or cited for underage drinking and some stuff like that. I mean, just petty stuff.
Okay, so you wrote an article, and then this fake profile by JT Hill
starts chiming in,
bringing up things that have things in your background.
Yeah. Well, if you know me, you know that I don't have anything to hide. I have screwed up a lot in my life, but I'm not a bad person, and I haven't ever done anything nefarious against people.
Ain't we all?
No one's perfect, and I don't expect the sheriff's department to be perfect either. Let's
speak
lay
for
that
yourself,
out,
dude. I'm perfect. Speak for yourself.
But I basically told this fake profile in the comments, congratulations, you found public record. You know how to use the internet. Like I don't, And then they came back with something about, and I don't want to get into too many details, but basically I can almost with 100% certainty tell you that they had access to the Tennessee Incident-Based Reporting System, which is an internal law enforcement database that logs your interactions. Anytime you're a witness, a victim, or a perpetrator or suspect of a crime, it logs you in there. And based on the information that this individual posted, it's unreasonable to believe that they submitted open record requests for these kind of documents and waited the 7 business days for them to return.
So this information came up real fast.
Within 48 hours of me publishing the article.
Oh, yeah. You've done open records requests. How quickly do you get that information?
7 business days for them to respond, and if there's a lot of information in it, then that's just to respond and tell you how long it's going to take.
Oh, so definitely not 48 hours.
No.
Unless you have access to some kind of system.
And sometimes if you have a friend, they might send you an email, but you definitely wouldn't have knowledge of a non-crime that occurred 4 hours away.
Right.
And no one's that lucky to guess.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the only person that this fake profile attacked. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see one of the other comments that they had on my page was about tell Eric hello. Hope you have some flex cuffs as a token of his support. Don't delete anything or ban anyone. I'd hate to see freedom of speech go away. So they're referencing my article about comments being deleted and banned from the sheriff. Like this is obviously someone carrying water for the sheriff.
Okay.
Well, Eric.
He mentions Eric. Who's Eric?
Eric is the 3rd name down on the ban list. And he is also an I believe, either sheriff's deputy, something like that from another county over, same judicial district.
Eric Hammock. Okay,
Eric Hammock.
Okay, I see it.
And this was in March of 2022 is when all of this, maybe early April, and this exact post. Mm-hmm. And all this started happening. Well, throughout that time, I've been getting a few more reports, and I've been just digging around, trying to find out what's there. If they're going through all this trouble to hide stuff, then there's something that they're hiding. They're not doing it, at least in my opinion, just for shits and giggles. So I started looking into it. I found out that I'm not the only person that's trying to be public about the stuff that's happened. Eric Hammock has also written, this is an opinion piece about the accountability. He basically saying that he doesn't believe that there's any accountability within the sheriff's department, criticizing the sheriff's department.
And this was back in 2021.
Yep, this was back in 2021, right after they found out about the ban list. I'm not sure if he had a copy of it because this was before I got involved. But it's really funny that anyone who writes an article questioning the sheriff gets this fake profile going after them.
Oh, okay.
This fake profile also tried to give away this gentleman's address. Unfortunately, the gentleman didn't live at that address anymore, but like publicly doxed him on the internet.
Wow, somebody else could have lived there and ended up gotten
it exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I do want to read this. The first line, editor's note, says the Herald citizen inquired about the list mentioned in this letter, which I assume he's talking about the
ban list.
The ban list.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and about the Herald citizen inquired about the list mentioned in this letter about people banned from the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. The 10 people on the list are not banned, according to Sheriff Eddie Farris, but they have to make an appointment to visit the PCSO.
Can you go back to that ban list real quick and just see what it's called? I want to make sure we didn't like read appointment or something.
Yeah.
Lobby, no entry, ban. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
No
I guess appointment spelled differently in Putnam County.
Sarcasm's a strong tool of yours, isn't it? All right. So he writes this letter about this ban list. So this ban list has been in effect for a while.
For a while. They open record requested it. Actually, it wasn't him. He was the man who provided me with a copy of it. Mm-hmm. But I've since found out he is not the individual who open record requested it. Another individual who is not on the ban list, but actually is a retired Putnam County, a major with the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, is the one who open record requested it. And I get to him in a second. I've actually already interviewed him in like part 2 of my intimidation thing.
Okay.
So if you go to the next slide.
Nope. That's not it. So tell me about this next slide here.
All right. This next fake profile is Glowworm. Now, that picture is not of Glowworm. That is an acquaintance.
Whose name is Glowworm?
that picture is the acquaintance of someone who is actually a local activist. Mm-hmm. And without giving... I covered her interview in part 1, but here's another fake profile using court system data from another county and stuff. I don't know if her information is public record or whatever it is.
That's a mugshot.
That is a mugshot, and it's amazing because that mugshot came around after she questioned something to do with steroids in Putnam County, and the sheriff's department was related in the Post and something like that.
You could even see the little date right here at the top of that.
Yeah. They came to the profile or to her house. 2 sheriff's deputies did to serve a warrant, an old warrant or a non-existent warrant, a bogus warrant, as she says,
right,
related to that individual. It's like an X. And the next day, this fake profile pops up with his picture, his mugshot, as the profile picture, attacking her. Her name's Jasmine Woodson. She tells me that a lot of the statements made in this aren't true. They're kind of embarrassing, so I don't want to like reveal everything. Mm-hmm. But they go and they attack her character days after she makes a post. And the funny part is part of her post was made because the sheriff allegedly showed up to her friend's work after a Facebook post.
That's interesting.
I'm sorry. I know Putnam County's not like Davidson County or something like, it's not massive like that, but it's not like Lynchburg or something where there's 300, 400 people live in the city limits. It's a big town. What sheriff has enough time to go visit people at work because of a Facebook post?
So I can understand maybe 1 or 2 of these incidents popping up, but we're talking about...
Well, so far we've gone through me, Eric, and now Jasmine. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there were several other people on that list. Go back to that list, one thing, because I find this absolutely hilarious. Proof that these people couldn't have done something like worthy of being kicked out of the sheriff's department. Second to last name, Hillary Poindexter.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a real name.
That is not a real person.
Hillary Poindexter.
That was actually an account created because someone was afraid of retaliation if they used their name to question the sheriff's department. I wonder why they would be afraid of retaliation. Well, if you go past glowworms and past where he is trying to insult Miss Woodson, next one.
Oh, I didn't have this screen brought up.
So this is one of the posts that he made right after the account was created.
Okay.
Tagging this activist employer, which is Blexit. It's not like she's tagging, Al's Food Market down the road. She's tagging Blexit. This is not a low-level individual.
Right. But you was talking about this next one here.
Okay. Here's yet another victim, Terry Hembry, law enforcement officer. This is the individual that open record requested the ban list.
So we're looking at another fake profile, I presume.
We are. I'm assuming Buster Hyman is not a real name, and that's a picture of Brokeback Mountain as the cover photo, which in the favorites of this page, it's Terry Hembry's favorite movie. It's so childish.
That is pretty childish.
Very, very childish.
A little funny though. A little funny
for a fourth grader.
Yeah.
It's like a dick and fart joke. It's funny, but not really.
He's gay. Hilarious, right?
The funny part about all of this situation, though, is Terry Hembry had never gone public. All he did was submit.
Now, wait a minute. You said all the other people that we talked about so far.
So far, they had been social media, newspaper article.
They had made a post or article, yeah. And
Terry Hembry was simply submitting open record requests. Then they went through a law firm, which ended up ending. I'm not 100% sure why it did, but they went through this law firm multiple times, asking about employee documentation, old employee files about maybe sexual misconduct, or just things that he had heard rumors about and refused to believe because he'd worked there. And when he starts open record requesting things in the past, since he left in 2019, he says that his opinions have changed. Now he does believe these things.
Wow. So it sounds like he's kind of a guy that's a trust but verify kind of guy.
Yes.
He's like, I'm hearing these rumors. Surely they can't be real. Let's submit some open records requests to find out.
And look at the documents.
And then he found, I guess apparently there was stuff to find.
He found some inconsistencies, and it was when, I believe it was right after he brought these inconsistencies up, is when he received anonymous letters to his house, and fake profiles started harassing him. This fake profile actually used a driver's license photo of his wife and portrayed it as a mugshot.
Oh.
And it's an old driver's license photo, 20 years old or something. So
where would you find that except on some kind of a...
no idea, but it is, I believe it's a federal crime to misuse someone's driver's license photo.
Yeah, possibly.
So
sounds like it'd be something not legal. Exactly.
Yeah. So next slide.
Let's see here. All right, so let me bring up this next one here.
Buster Hyman also attacked Eric.
Okay, we're looking right here in the second comment, right?
Yep.
Buster Hyman.
Well said. Little Eric should be more concerned with a couple of TCA codes and unprofessional conduct, and it's got a screenshot of, it looks like some kind of a database that gives his license number as a nurse and stuff like that, and some disciplinary action that was taken 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So they're pulling up old stuff, and you can see, please see the public post I've already made regarding this. Nice profile name, by the way. Everyone knows these are fake profiles.
It's super obvious. At least try to make it somewhat believable.
Well, that happens.
Yeah, this was a troll account. This isn't necessarily a fake profile. But,
well, so
it's fake, but meant for trolling, not meant for blending in. Right?
Exactly. So in December, I filed a federal lawsuit against Sheriff Farris for the deleting of comments and the blocking of me and others on his social media pages. On not his social media pages. Let me clarify that. On the official Putnam County Sheriff's Office social media pages.
Start that line again?
No. We can just include the let me clarify that, because they are not his pages.
Gotcha.
They are clearly official pages for the Sheriff's Department. That's why we're in the lawsuit. Well, as soon as I did that, all right, so if we can go to the next slide, but don't show it on screen. And the reason is there's some privileged information here, person's address, phone number, but this is a copy of a letter. The sheriff cannot claim ignorance to this. Okay, I filed a lawsuit in December, and shortly after, I gave a radio interview. Just before I filed my lawsuit, this 40-year law enforcement officer wrote a letter, and we don't want to get into, there's some of the, I don't want to, he's talking about a certain employee. I don't want to mention that employee's name. Apparently there were some inquiries made about a family member, and he's outlining this detail. I have the whole letter, and he sent it to Sheriff Farris. I gave my radio interview where I outlined the harassment that I'd endured and how the evidence that I believe supported the access to Tiber's theory.
Right.
He then writes another letter, which I don't have a picture of, asking for an independent investigation, asking Dunaway, which is the attorney general out there, to kick it to a different district. So people know about this. The individual that wrote this letter is a 40-year law enforcement veteran. I mean, he worked for the district attorney's office at one point and was a major with the very department he's concerned about. This is a serious whistleblower. This is a serious someone bringing the allegation and asking someone to look into this.
Yeah, this isn't just some disgruntled.
No, this isn't somebody you locked up for
yeah.
having meth in their car and they're filing a complaint because they think they'll get out of it.
Right,
no.
Right.
Well, so in my lawsuit, Sheriff Farris has actually quoted my radio interview.
Oh, in the actual lawsuit
in the lawsuit, in his responses, has quoted my radio interview.
Okay.
But I've not received a single phone call asking about the harassment. And I know I'm not the only person that's reported it. So if we go to the next slide, right after I filed my lawsuit and the newspaper started covering some stuff, just really unbiased and just kind of like, here's what the complaints say. This profile pops up. And this one seems more genuine.
I'm sorry. Do all these screenshots come from your phone?
Yeah,
no. Your battery level's giving me anxiety.
Yes, it's always that low, always.
So anyway, so we're looking at a screenshot of
the guy works,
another fake profile.
Well, at first it doesn't appear that way. Works at Amazon, went to MTSU, but I reverse image searched the picture, and if you go to the next slide, I just took that reverse image searched it. It tied back to some like Finland techno band from 2008. Nice. Okay. So I knew it was a fake profile. I called them out. They changed their profile picture.
Oh.
Okay. So
okay.
then.
So Mike Rice is
definitely.
At least the image is not real.
Yeah.
Right.
So you go to the next slide. Okay. And that was just a fake profile carrying water, trying to defend the sheriff's actions. Well, this is an email from Mike A. Rice, 88 at protonmail.com. My records indicate that this email was created within 48 hours of this email being generated. I can't prove that not without but the searches I've done.
Hell, the email address can't even be that long because Proton Mail isn't even that old of a service yet.
No. So, it's sent to the mayor of my city and the alderman.
Yep.
And it's basically accusing me of operating without a business license, not paying my sales tax, and all sorts of petty crap. Well, they called me up. The reason I found out about this because they've got my birthday, tell me where he's from, also mention my notary thing. Now, I think this is something that I've actually almost forgot about. The original fake profile that attacked me mentioned all of this same thing and then threatened to go to their friends and have them revoke my notary commission.
Interesting.
And then it's funny that this same profile pops up in the same way. I do have a business license. The clerk called me to get my sales tax number. I gave it to her, found it. I'm good until May, and then you pay your taxes or whatever. I think it's like May 15th, and then it automatically renews for a year. So everything's good. So I open record request the email.
And that's what we're looking at.
That's what we're looking at. And then I sent a cease and desist letter. But before we go off of this, I want you to pay attention. If you look at the $10,000, third paragraph, between where it says 10,000 and you. That's 2 spaces. Okay, after a period. That's a very outdated way. It's way inconvenient.
You talking about the space between the period and the next sentence.
The period and the next sentence.
Double spacing between the...
Is a double space.
So why is that?
Well, go back to I think it was the 4th screenshot that you've got, the 4th slide. There's 2 spaces after that on Glowworm also. You go to the next one.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Huh,
So this one right here. Oh,
well said.
Well said.
Poor
Double
little
space,
Eric.
Double space. Okay.
Okay. Go to the next one.
I see what I see what you're throwing down.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
now
so we're looking at double spacing
on all of these profiles. That is a very outdated way. Anyone who regularly uses a computer knows it's harder to hit the space bar twice. You learn that in old typing classes.
Yeah, I remember that when I was like in the 90s.
So that right,
we haven't been doing double spacing since like early 2000s.
So that is a tell.
Yeah. I can see where you could say that. And either it's that just tells me that it's somebody over the age of maybe 45,
probably
50
something
maybe,
like that.
Or something like that.
That's what I'm assuming. So you go to the next screenshot. So I got this open record request. Get this email. Send a cease and desist to Mike A. Rice88 at protonmail.com.
Okay.
To which point I get this email response.
This is from Mike A. Rice 88. The email that's the Proton Mail address, right? And
Yes, sir.
He says you're to wait a minute. You're supposed to be apostrophe re. I love reading with people's writings. Anyway, I write. You know this about me.
Yep,
I'm a writer, so this stuff like stands out like a sore thumb.
I
to me.
don't have any too funnies left. I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah. So you're too funny. Welcome to the narcissistic world you as a narcissist live in. Don't poke bears, otherwise minions, including Miss Kerr, could get... Who's Miss Kerr?
Miss Kerr. That is actually my girlfriend.
Okay.
Which is not public. I'm not saying it's impossible to find, but it shows that someone's done some digging.
It'd take a little effort.
And it's not listed as my girlfriend or anything like that because of stuff like this.
Yeah. So you keep a degree of separation.
A little bit to try to prevent. Obviously, it's not perfect, but it keeps like the low level people from blowing her phone up all day or something like that.
So it goes on to say this has been a wait, that's another space.
Yeah,
I'm noticing it now. Okay, this has been a wildlife safety message. Space. Have a miserable day.
Yep. So to
Mike
me,
is he's so polite. You know, he's got terrible grammar and he still types weird, like late '90s typing skills, but. He's a sweetheart, honestly. I can tell. He
was one of those people that never figured out how to use T9. They always had to do the 3 like press. Like they couldn't do T9 because they just couldn't figure it out. So, and I want to wrap this up because I know people have like a bit of a thing, but go to the next slide for me real quick. So this is serious what we're talking about when we look into it.
Right. Yeah. I try to make this as entertaining as possible. So forgive my jokes. I'm not trying to take away from what you're trying to tell us here, because this is serious stuff, and there is ultimately a message in the end of this for folks who maybe this isn't just specifically about Putnam County. This is about all local counties all over the place and ways that you can.
I'm going to cover that here in just a second. I just want to fly through these last 4 screenshots. This is Benjamin Dover. Benjamin Dover is yet another fake profile with a sexually explicit name who likes to go after people.
Benjamin Dover, what's that mean?
Ben Dover.
Ben Dover?
Yeah.
Like, what's that mean?
No, I'll let you ask him. Okay. He's blocked me now. Ever since I started asking for a public or federal investigation into this, it has stopped. But it wasn't stopping when complaints were being made. So if you go to the next screenshot, this was sent to me, and I've blocked out everything that I can, okay? But essentially, what's very sad is that I try to be careful about what I say, and in this case.
This is a comment from Ben Dover?
No, this is, so Ben Dover was just another fake profile. There's several others out there that I haven't, they've been deleted, but it was just to show that there's lots of them out there.
Gotcha. I just didn't want to confuse.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is actually, so far we've covered Terry Hembry, Eric Hammock, we've covered myself, we've covered Jasmine, we've covered, let's see, I think that's all the actual specific people we've actually covered. Now, this is an employee of a government office, that's all I'm going to say, okay, who messaged me because they were basically threatened and told to take down their comments.
Okay, so for those of you who were just listening, it says that's very what's very sad is that I try to be very careful about what I say, and was in this case, but to be told that the mayor was called and told that the sheriff's office is angry at me and that it would be wise to remove my comments is scary. Oh, okay.
So this is actually like and I don't want to give any specific.
So this guy's been told like he needs to remove comments.
Yep. From because the sheriff's office is angry at him.
Oh.
Okay. Like, so.
Okay.
So that now we're at 5. Okay.
Right,
well, no, hold on. And Jasmine had her friend who had someone show up at their work.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned.
Okay. So that's 6.
All right, we are wrapping up the last couple slides here. So just tell me a little bit about this one here, this letter.
All right.
You at your request, I have cut off who the letter was to, just
and some identifying information.
Yeah. So tell me about the rest of what we're seeing here.
So this is a letter communication between 2 people regarding the ban list and some editorials or opinion pieces that were written after. But this is written by a member of the media who did not give this to me. Okay. So don't go retaliating on this individual. But they gave me this information, and someone from a news agency doesn't use quotation marks when referencing what someone said unless that's what they're quoting that person is saying. And in here, you'll see, the sheriff called me and said, "I thought you agreed you wouldn't publish any bullshit," and continued to use similar language throughout the conversation, which ended with him saying, "I'm glad I know where the line is now." Basically, the sheriff then called publishers.
This is Eddie Farris.
This is Sheriff Eddie Farris being quoted. Sheriff called him to complain about the letter. I didn't see any issues with the letter since the sheriff had already acknowledged that there was a list, and I told the sheriff we published it on the opinion page. So, like, this person, in my opinion, they know about a list. There should have been a front page article, in my opinion.
No, this is the sheriff. This is their local paper.
This is a local news agency. So, but they also have a copy of a paper and stuff like that. So, it should have been on the front page of the paper, front page of the website, everything. Sheriff bans people from public building, but they have to work. Local newspapers and local radio stations and stuff like that, they have to work with these organizations. So they're kind of like held to, by the balls a little bit. If they stop,
I never thought of it that way, but I get what you're saying.
Well, the sheriff doesn't have to send them press releases or give them news statements or quotes.
I would imagine a lot of their news stories and sources come from the sheriff's department saying, "Hey, by the way, we got this."
Everyone likes to read about the, Trey Hargett getting a DUI or something like that.
Right,
so they need someone in the department tipping them off.
Well, that's kind of that's a messed up situation to be in, but I get it.
but that's what news reporters want. They want that inside source calling them at 1 o'clock in the morning saying, "Hey, we've got this. You're our local paper. Have a story about it. It's a big one."
Right.
And apparently, since those negative articles were allowed to be published, certain reporters have been, in their opinion, penalized. Something that's not pictured. That's not the only news reporter / journalist in that city that has come forward to me. I've had another guy come forward and basically tell me his job was threatened.
This is one of the 13 that you
This
mentioned.
is one of the 13 that I've mentioned. Okay, so we were at 6. We've got I thought you agreed you wouldn't publish any bullshit. I mean, maybe this is like half of an intimidation thing. But somebody else from the same county.
I mean, if you're a news editor, you're a publisher, like you that's a pretty clear message.
Yeah.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what your job is.
Yeah. Well,
he knows what your job is.
The other guy I'm talking about has actually allegedly
because the sheriff can't just come into the office and say you're not supposed to
talk shit about Total.
Yeah, you can't come in and specifically say that. So you got to code it in vague language. So
yes.
I don't want to say it's a dog whistle, but if there ever was a dog whistle, this is kind of it.
Yeah. Well, another journalist back some time ago, guy came forward and basically told me that he was threatened told me that the word said to him was, "If you write about that, I will have your job." Okay?
I will have your job.
I will have your job. And I don't think he meant that like he was going to take over this guy's job, like, writing sports articles or whatever it is. Right. Let's be honest. So
I mean, unless maybe.
Now, I have multiple whistleblowers inside the department. Okay? And I've been told that there are deputies stationed along certain routes with orders to pull me over. Not just me. I'm not the only person on like this hate list, apparently, but orders to pull me over. And
so something like a ban list.
Something like a ban list. It's the I don't know if it's the plant drugs on him list. I don't know if it's the write him 27 tickets because like his tire was 1 pound under I have no idea what list it's on, but
if they want to find something, they'll find something.
And now you have this fear every time I go to do business in or around this county. What am I going to be subjected to? I mean, let's be honest. We all just saw what happened in Memphis. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you want to know how you get what happened in Memphis?
How do you get there?
You ignore shit like this. You ignore a pattern and practice of intimidation and harassment. Bullying against people who question the actions or the authority or make somebody feel like his pecker's too small.
Yeah, well, and you cut funding for the police and make it really difficult to hire new employees. But yeah, I get your point.
Well,
I get your point.
The crazy part is that politically speaking, I probably agree with Sheriff Farris on almost everything. Okay, right. He was against all the COVID lockdowns, but there's something serious going on here. So I've had let's say that's 3 police officers, 2 journalists, myself, another activist friend, and then I've had a couple of random citizens, a government employee, and then I've had a couple of random citizens reach out to me and say that like they've had deputies show up at their house and say, I've got a message from Farris and let's stay out of our county. Some of these things could be exaggerated. Yeah. Okay? We all know that there are some people out there with negative views of the sheriff in every county. Right. This is not one of those situations.
I mean, even if they're all exaggerated, you still kind of have this pattern of there's a little smoke here.
There's a little bit, but
yeah, I mean,
the thing is,
where there's smoke, there's usually fire, right?
And like Terry, I get a lot of people reach out to me, and I don't have resources and all these people, so I've had to trust my gut, go with what's happened, and there's too much documentation, too many patterns, and I've experienced the exact same thing myself. Mm-hmm. So I'm inclined to believe it.
And you're the kind of guy that's not going to like cow down to intimidation.
No,
that sends up red flags for you. Like, wait a minute, what is going on here?
Yeah,
you're that idiot that would run back into a burning building.
100%. If that's that's what the right thing to do was to do, then that's what I would do.
And we talk about this all the time. Like, we just wish people would stand up more and actually have some cojones, so to speak. You know?
The other thing is, I'm one person with let's say 10,000 followers, like total. Yeah. Hardly any of them are in Putnam County. That's why
if you take out the fake profiles, you're probably at about 9,000 if you take out all of Eddie Farris's fake profiles.
Yeah. So, and again, here's the thing. I don't know for a fact that they're Eddie Farris's fake profiles, but what other conclusion can you come to when letters have been sent to him? He's listened to the radio interview and ignored it. There's been articles published in the paper that included talking about the fake profiles and the harassment. Yeah. The Attorney General, I have confirmed as of like a few weeks ago, was mailed another summary complaining about some other stuff. I have written emails to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. I have tried to reach out to my representatives. I have spoken to people who work at the United States House of Representatives. And you know what I've got back? Crickets. Now,
who's sending you crickets?
No, I've heard nothing. No one has. I know, but no one has said a damn thing. And
interesting.
And again, what happened to Tyree Nichols in Memphis?
Is it because? Do you think it's because they are also implicit somehow, or do you think it's because this just doesn't rise to the level of their need to?
From what I understand, and I'm in the process of verifying some of this, but Sheriff Farris was, when I first started looking into this, the president of the Tennessee Sheriff's Association. Has, from what I've heard, his sights set on being the next director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. He is a big supporter of Blackburn and Haggerty. And from what I understand, he's also may have done some moonlighting for a previous attorney general from the Barack Obama administration.
So we're talking about good old boy network.
We're talking about probably one of the most well-connected law enforcement officers in the state of Tennessee. And the way I can prove that, go to our last slide. This is the icing on the cake. This is a news release for the people who are listening.
Okay.
Sheriff Farris appointed to advisory committee. I'll let you read the actual press
advisory
statement.
committee. Oh, okay. All right, that sounds official.
Wait till you hear what it's for.
Okay, we got Putnam County, Tennessee, October 31st, 2022. Sheriff Eddie Farris was appointed to the advisory committee on open government by Commissioner Comptroller of the Treasury Jason Mumpower of the state of Tennessee. Sheriff Farris stated, quote, "I am honored to be appointed to represent the other 95 sheriffs, the Tennessee Sheriff's Association on this committee. I also would like to thank Commissioner Comptroller Jason Mumpower, Governor Bill Lee, and his office for this opportunity. He'll be serving on this committee for a 4-year term." Okay. So why is this important?
Okay. Well, so this happened. This press release is from after my lawsuit.
Yeah. Okay. This is the 13th of this year.
Of this year.
2020.
Well, it's meant to be 2023, but they didn't update the. So.
Oh wait, hold on now. So, are you sure this wasn't from 2022?
No. This was posted on January 13th, the day after he responded, I think, in federal court to my lawsuit, and I believe he was holding it for an ace in the hole is kind of like a thing. But
so that's
whatever the reason it was posted late
maybe a typo or just posted late.
It's a typo on there. It's meant to be 2023.
As I was working on editing this video, I went to go double check the press release dates to see if maybe it was a typo or maybe it was just an old press release. And what I found when I typed in the keywords is the press release that was mentioned, listed right here on the Twitter page. Now, the reason I wanted to stop in and record this particular piece is because as I was looking at this, I realized that nobody could comment on these posts. It says, who can reply? Well, basically anybody that the sheriff's department from this Twitter account mentions, they can reply. Other than that, there's no way to interact with this post. So they have effectively cut off any form of commentary or ways of communication through this Twitter page. Now, maybe they're not going through blocking individuals anymore, but I think this is far worse. Let's see how this plays out.
He was appointed to the advisory committee for open government. It's a 4-year term. He is representing, I'm honored to be appointed to represent the other 95 sheriffs. We all say that most cops are good and it's the few bad apples spoil the bunch.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell are you doing putting the bad apples to represent the other 95? If I were one of the other, I think it's 94. I think there's 95 total counties in Tennessee. But if you're one of those other 94, is the kind of man that turns a blind eye to this kind of intimidation and harassment against what I can only assume are people he views are damaging to his political career? Do you want him representing you?
Let's say he's completely innocent of all this. And there's nothing going on here. Like, what, in your opinion, do you think Sheriff Farris can do to, I don't know, clear his name or, make things right? Or, like, what can he do from this point forward to set the record straight?
I would say that he should probably ask for an external, completely unbiased investigation into this. When the allegations first came out, when he first heard my radio ad, if he had started investigating, at a certain point you have plausible deniability that you don't know what's going on. But 3 or 4 newspaper articles, a radio interview, and a whole bunch of complaint and letters, certified letters sent to you, at a certain point you lose your qualified immunity or your plausible deniability. You lose your plausible deniability. If it were me, if you were accusing me of doing something like that, the very first time I heard that accusation, there would be a public statement that I am not involved in that I'm not doing any of that, and I would set the record straight. And I would look at, as the sheriff, it's not like you have an investigative body under your supervision that you could have look into it.
We'll definitely be looking into that and figuring out where this is coming from.
Now the only option is to go external and to find somebody from a distant, far-off county who has absolutely no loyalty to anyone in that area, anyone in the 13th Judicial District, and investigate why. Because I would figure that this isn't the only situation this has happened on. I wonder how many other years of this has been going on about other, maybe it wasn't a missing persons in this case. Maybe it was just drug busts or something. But what other intimidation has been going on? in this county.
Why do you think people aren't stepping up and doing anything about this? Do you think, I mean, do you think maybe it's just that it happens to each individual person, and so it doesn't seem like such a big deal? Or
I think that a lot of people assume if you complain about a law enforcement officer, especially something like really and truly, if I just came to you and said a sheriff is creating fake profiles and harassing people,
yeah,
what kind of sheriff has the time?
well, yeah, I mean that'd be my first thought too. If I was to complain about the sheriff in my local county, is like, what's going to happen?
Yeah,
What's going to happen?
So there's a few routes that you can take. You can file ethics complaints, from what I understand, with your county commission. It would depend on the county charter and everything, but you could file under Article 7, Section 1, I believe, of the Tennessee Constitution. You could file an ouster suit if you're a citizen of the county. I think you need 10 people to do that.
You already got 45 people, right? Well, 13.
You could. I don't know if not all of them live in the county. Some of them live in a neighboring county. You know.
Now that's interesting, right?
Well, it's maybe Cookeville's like a big area out there.
Oh,
so if you live in one of the smaller towns and you work in Cookeville or something, there's a college out there. You know, how many college kids have been victims of something like this? You know, the questions shouldn't have to be asked.
Yeah,
they should be being looked into, and I just think that it's way past time for someone to do something about this. How hard would it be to subpoena, as a law enforcement agency in a criminal investigation, IP addresses and IMEI numbers? What's it going to take you? An hour?
Yeah, maybe.
It might take a few weeks to get it back or whatever.
Somebody who knows what they're doing, for sure. Yeah.
In the actual grand scheme of things, it can't take that long. You've got the technology.
Yeah, it does seem like it would be really easy to clear your name if this is.
I guarantee you, if they were making terroristic threats about some other government official, they'd have found them already.
And we're not. And it seems like this has risen to the level of seriousness that maybe it's probably time to make a statement about it. I mean, if it was just blocking some comments on Facebook, whatever, you know, okay, we had some guy who's doing that, whatever, we got it taken care of. You know, we reprimanded him, wrote him up, whatever. I mean, you could come up with whatever, but, you know, we're talking about not only First Amendment violations, we're talking about
Fourth Amendment violations, we're talking about civil rights violations. Yeah, it's actually.
And then the constant attempts to cover it up by deleting more comments and blocking more profiles.
And at what point, as a law enforcement officer, do you become complicit with it, even if it's not you? And that, I would argue that whoever is managing these fake profiles is definitely carrying water for the sheriff's office. Yeah. And the reason I believe that it's definitely tied directly to the sheriff's office as an internal employee, or even the sheriff himself, is because nothing's been done.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. So I got one final question, then I'm going to leave it open to you for a minute to wrap up here. But you live all the way in Tullahoma, like we're talking what, a couple hours away?
About 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why are you? What business is it of yours? Why are you concerned? Why does this matter to you to get involved in Putnam County politics? I guess would be the question.
Well, I'm a Tennessee citizen, okay, and as of that, they redistribute a lot of taxes and everything like that to all these other counties. It's also, I've been bullied by people in government before. When I was younger, we've all been bullied at some point, and people don't understand that the government in and of itself and these individual people, you can stand up and you can hold these people accountable. It's difficult, but when I see such flagrant, I'm an investigative journalist, so it's dramatic and it has to do with political people, so I want to see it anyway. But when I see how bad and blatant and no one seems to give a shit, at least the people that should.
Yeah, that's the interesting part of this whole thing.
I want to scream it from the rooftops until an investigation is completed. And I don't think that's asking for too much. All we're asking for is there have obviously been crimes committed. It seems that they are someone that has access to law enforcement databases and is carrying water for the sheriff. As a sheriff's deputy in Putnam County, why would you let these trolls tarnish your name by not investigating them? So
So in closing, like, is there anything particular you'd like to say that maybe we haven't covered? A message to the people of Putnam County, or
I would definitely like to say to anyone in or around Putnam County, or anyone even in Tennessee, if you are experiencing corruption, reach out to me. I will go after it. Obviously, I need more than just accusations. I need screenshots. I need copies of letters that you've sent. I mean, no one can do it by themselves, but I want to help anyone who needs it to expose the corruption, because the only way that our system of government works is if it's held accountable to the standards that we've set for it.
Right.
And I'm really embarrassed about what happened to Tyree Nichols as a member of Tennessee. I mean, I know we don't really consider Memphis Tennessee, or we try not to, but it is.
It is Tennessee.
And if you let this pattern of behavior continue, then every single one of you who have turned a blind eye, who have refused to look into this, every single one of you is culpable for the damage that's done. I want you to think about that and ask yourself, if you want, when this escalates to a point where someone gets hurt or someone is charged with a crime they didn't commit, do you want that on your conscience? So, and if you have any corruption you'd like to report, reach out to me at tips@patriotpunknetwork.com. Be the change you want to see.
100%, man. 100%. Tips@patriotpunknetwork.com. You heard it there. I appreciate you for coming here and telling your side of the story here.
I appreciate it too, sir.
If Mr. Farris would like to come on the show and tell his side of the story, I'd be glad to speak with you as well. So feel free to reach out to me at unframeofmind.com and just let me know, and we'll have the same conversation. You can come here and sit in the office, and we'll have a talk. If you have any friends in Putnam County who maybe have experienced some of this, step forward, say something, do something. We've seen multiple examples of Project Veritas where they're going in undercover, getting these, exposing these giant stories. But there's no reason why these very same things can't happen on a local level. Project Veritas is not going to care about your Putnam County sheriff. They're just not. So it's going to be on you guys to do something about it. So, I mean, if you think that this is something worth taking care of and worth getting, resolved, reach out to Chase. If you guys enjoyed this kind of conversation, want to see more like it, just to make sure you hit the subscribe button. This has been another uncomfortable conversation without a condom. I'm your host, Daniel Wagner. Until next time.